आधे बाउल दही में 4 चम्मच MDH चटनी पुदीना मसाला डाला, स्टर करो, पुदीना चटनी तैयार। MDH चटनी पुदीना मसाला।
From the Republic Media Network headquarters, it's time for Arnab Goswami on the debate. Arnab Goswami on the debate.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the nation's sharpest opinion. West Asia is on the edge, but I think Iran has got it all wrong. Iran does not want peace. If it was serious about peace, they wouldn't only be obsessing about making a nuclear bomb, enriching uranium. In fact, the response of Iran is extremely worrisome. Sometime back, the headquarters of the Iranian state television, state broadcaster, have been hit. And before I run the video, and I'll run it full frame, watch this video to get a clear sense of how determined Israel is to hit Iran. And this is absolute clarity. This is the way a country must respond. This is an attack when the television anchor on Iranian state television is saying we will destroy Israel, we'll do this and that. Just watch how she runs away in a most cowardly manner when her own TV station is attacked in the middle of her volatile commentary. Just take a look at this video, beginning to end twice.
فضای غبارآلوده استادیوم فضای غبارآلوده استادیوم
My production team has got it all wrong. They should have run it from the end point, and they'll do it again in the next 5 seconds, I'm sure, because they've forwarded the video. What the producers should have shown you, viewers, is the way in which she was lecturing that death to Israel, we'll finish Israel, etc. So can it be back time another 10 seconds so viewers get a complete picture? Can it be done, production team? Otherwise, we can roll it immediately. The fact is, before I run that video again, all those people who are pro-Iran now must also tell us whether they are pro-Hezbollah, pro-Hamas, and pro-Houthi. And if there are people in our country or elsewhere who are pro-Hamas, pro-Hezbollah, and pro-Houthi, then they must also tell us whether they are pro-terrorism. Because this attempt at trying to balance things out does not work. But Omar Abdullah, Rahul Gandhi, and all the rest of them must understand that they are basically saying, the Iranians are now saying, that we will produce a nuclear bomb, we will bomb Israel with it, we will threaten global peace, we will support terrorist groups, and then we'll play victim. How different is Iran in that sense? How different is Iran from the position of Pakistan? They do exactly the same thing, and they are a threat. And I think we must be clear about Iran's right to exist. Iran is being asked why they have wiped out the entire leadership, military leadership of Iran. Well, didn't we do the same thing? Didn't we wipe out the entire terrorist infrastructure in Pakistan? There is no difference, ladies and gentlemen. You cannot have this peaceful approach with Iran, like you cannot have a peaceful approach with Pakistan. The existence of Iran is under threat today. And existence of Israel is under threat, and Israel has every right to fight back. Ladies and gentlemen, my point is here today, we had an Iranian official who was quoted somewhere saying that if there is a nuclear strike by Israel, then Pakistan will nuke Israel on our behalf. Pakistan needs to be clear where it stands on this. Is there any such understanding the Pakistanis have with Iran? Are the Pakistanis being used, therefore, as some kind of a nuclear threat, a nuclear blackmail, or a nuclear fulcrum? Is that Pakistan's new role? of trying to use a bomb that can be rented by anyone for whichever reason. Viewers, the situation in the Middle East front in West Asia is not going to be restricted to the Middle East. Unless we have resolution soon, and this resolution will have to include Turkey, Russia, China, and all the players who are working in the background. China must also clarify where it stands on this. China's approach has always been the Sun Tzu approach. Win by other means. Use third parties. Don't shed a drop of Chinese blood. Don't get directly involved. Well, here are two countries which are directly involved. And China is clearly on Iran's side. Proxy wars must end. America and China must stop using Israel and Iran as proxies. If the battle is indirectly between them, let it be out in the open. Now, viewers, I want to play the entire video, and you watch this video, have a clear sense about how determined Israel is. In the middle of this primetime broadcast, an attack in the state broadcaster's studio in Tehran. Watch the video, and then we go straight to the debate.
که شنیدید صدای متجاوز به خاک وطن، صدای متجاوز به صدای حق و حقیقت است. آنچه که ملاحظه کردید، صدایی که شنیدید، فضای غبارآلود استدیو که شنیدید صدای متجاوز به خاک وطن، صدای متجاوز به صدای حق و حقیقت است. آنچه که ملاحظه کردید، صدایی که شنیدید، فضای غبارآلود استدیو که شنیدید صدای متجاوز به خاک وطن.
In the wee hours today, a new wave of Iranian missiles sliced through the dark. Sirens wailed, cities shook, and the long simmering shadow war between Tehran and Tel Aviv exploded into an open confrontation. The Middle East is once again on the brink of chaos as tensions between Iran and Israel continue to escalate. The conflict between the two nations has been simmering for decades, but recent events have brought the situation to a boiling point. Aerial footage show extensive damage to buildings in Tel Aviv after Iran fired a new wave of missile attacks, killing at least 5 people.
Here behind me is the center of Tel Aviv, and Iranian ballistic missile hit here, and the destruction is massive. Many residential buildings all over destructed, devastated, and they can collapse any moment. That's why the police and rescue forces of the Israeli army asking nobody to come close to this place.
After days of attacks on Iranian air defenses and missile systems, the Israeli military said its aircraft now control the skies from western Iran to Tehran and had destroyed more than 120 surface-to-surface missile launchers, a third of Iran's total that had been firing at Israel in overnight missions.
עכשיו ניתן לומר שהשגנו עליונות אווירית מלאה בשמי טהרן. אנחנו תוקפים בזמן אמת חוליות איראניות שמשגרות טילים לעבר מדינת ישראל, וגם לעבר מטוסינו. יכולות סגירת המעגל שראינו עד עכשיו בעזה, בלבנון ובאיו"ש, קורות עכשיו גם באיראן.
Israeli jets reportedly disabled nearly 1/3 of Iran's surface-to-surface missile systems, claiming control of airspace from western Iran to the outskirts of Tehran. But Iran remains defiant, vowing more retaliation, more strikes. Its leaders accuse Israel of trying to provoke a full-scale regional war and say the conflict is far from over. Iran's military ambitions, including the nuclear program, have long been a source of concern for Israel. The Israeli government views Iran's growing military capabilities as an existential threat. A United States embassy branch in Tel Aviv was hit in the Iranian missile strikes as military conflict with Israel entered its fourth day.
You can see behind me the American embassy in Tel Aviv, and this is not damaged from the outside, at least from the shock wave of the ballistic missile that was fired from Iran, but still all the places next to the embassy suffering from a damage. Here usually people are doing the passport photos for the passport, leaving their stuff in those safes, and you can see the massive damage here from the shock wave of the ballistic missile.
Diplomatic efforts are underway to de-escalate the situation, but the path to peace remains uncertain. The international community is urging restraint and diplomacy, but the situation remains volatile.
Well, I hope there's going to be a deal. I think it's time for a deal, and we'll see what happens, but sometimes they have to fight it out, but we're going to see what happens. I think there's a good chance there'll be a deal.
The Iran-Israel conflict is a complex and deeply entrenched issue, with no easy solutions in sight. As the situation continues to unfold, one thing is clear: the Middle East is on edge, and the world is watching.
Israel, we have Ariella Rosenthal. She's Director International Relations from the Ashdod municipality in Israel. Adam Belos is CEO of the Israel Innovation Fund, is live from Tel Aviv. Saurabh Shukla from News Mobile, who's also our senior global contributor, is joining us from Washington, D.C. Mohammad Islami is a research fellow at the University of Tehran. He's live from Tehran. Dr. Omer Anas is Associate Professor at the Ankara Bizayet University, joining us from Ankara in Turkey. And Atikur Rahman is with us. Ambassador Virendra Gupta is President of the Indian Council for International Cooperation, and he had established the Indian Embassy in Israel in 1992. So good panel. Ariella, we just got this video, and this was an attack. I can play it again. This was an attack while a news broadcast was on by the Israeli broadcaster. Can I run the pictures, please? And this attack was on the television station. And at the very time this broadcast was going on, the anchor was talking about how Israel will be finished, wiped out, destroyed, and then this attack happened. What is Israel trying to signify through these attacks, including the one on the broadcaster we just saw?
Well, it's not new
louder, please.
That everybody knows that Iran has only one precise promotion that he wants to do is the actual demissions of the state of Israel. So now that Israel has opposed war on Iran, it of course has two main imminent threats that it wants to impose. Is one the nuclear weapons and the ballistic missile arsenal, and every symbol that there is of the regime. As we've seen over the last days, that the difference between Israel and Iranian regime is that Israel is targeting only military plants, whereas Iran is actually launching missiles on the citizens of the state of Israel. They do not even emphasize between Jews, Arabs, people. There were a whole family that was killed in the north of Israel due to the explosion of the Iranian missile. So this is the difference between us and Iran. It's so clear.
Mr. Islami, can you respond to that? Because what the Israelis are saying is that they are working on very specific intelligence against individuals like the RGC head, specific locations, nuclear locations, on the basis of specific information. And they claim
First of all, thank you so much for
yes,
having me on your debate. First of
Go ahead.
I want to comment on your lecture before the debate starts. I thought that the Indian and Iranian nations have so many things in common. You know that there are lots of cultural things, historical things that in common. Iranians always respect Indian nation. And as far as I do have lots of friends in Mumbai, in Calcutta, in New Delhi, as far as I know, the Iranians are always beloved culture and beloved nations within the Indian society. And when it comes to the India-Iranian relations, the point is not about military things, or it's not about even Islamic things. It's mostly about the culture that have made these two nations very, very engaged together in the history. So, first of all, I would suggest your channel in order to be pro-truth, not pro-Iran, not pro-Israel, not for any other person, but pro-truth, and to respect your audiences. First, this is the first thing. The second thing regarding the conflict, the ongoing conflict between Iran and Israel, I should say that you know that Iran is the most monitored country in the history of IAEA in terms of NPT matters and something like this.
On the left.
While Israel is not a signatory of NPT, and Israel do have lots of nuclear weapons, so I should say that this is a conflict between a country that is respecting international law, that is respecting IAEA, and a country that is not respecting IAEA and non-proliferation treaties in the world. Regarding the attacks, you know that the Israelis' attack was a shocking attack, sabotaging nuclear negotiations between Iran and Americans. So at that time, Iranians, I'm not a pro-Iranian government. I do criticize the Iranian government in international domestic points and about foreign policy, but you know that the Iranian government were very deeply engaged in negotiations with the Americans in order to solve the problem peacefully. But the attacks by Israelis ruined that negotiation. So I think that the history will judge all of us. Yes, the history will judge all of us. And the track record of Israelis attacking civilians is much more clear. That there's no need to talk about this. You know that the ICC had lots of judgments regarding the war criminals.
Mr. Islami, may I?
No one can understand.
Mr. Islami, before Adam comes in, I want to say something to what you said earlier.
When it comes to Iranians, I should say that the Iranians didn't start any war in more than a century. Iranian didn't start any war in more than a century. So it shows
Mr.
that
Islami,
Iranians do not want
May I come in for a minute, just in response to what you said, because Adam wants to respond from Tel Aviv. But Adam, before you do so, I want to say to Mr. Islami that, of course, I have the greatest respect. In fact, on a recent panel, I told some Americans, Mr. Islami, that whether it is the Chinese, whether it is the Iranians, whether it is the Indian, we are older and wiser civilizations than the Americans. The Americans cannot even talk about a civilization. The Iranians, Indians, Chinese can. So I have great respect for Iranian history, heritage, and your civilization. But with the greatest respect, Mr. Islami, my respect for Iranian civilization does not extend to respecting the Hamas, the Hezbollah, and the Houthi, who I consider terrorist groups. I do not believe the Hamas, Hezbollah, or the Houthi are representatives of Iranian civilization, and you must not use them as proxies. You must not use them as proxies, because these only complicate things. The other thing on the IAEA issues, I would like Adam to respond to. But Adam, you must validate this, because Mr. Islami did not answer the question that Adiala said. Israelis are saying we are targeting military installations, you're targeting our people.
Mm-hmm.
I think that's the main point. At some point, both sides will have to come and sit down and talk. Are you ready to talk? Because Donald Trump doesn't seem to want to talk. Is Donald Trump guiding this, or is Netanyahu guiding this?
So I think it's very clear that Netanyahu is guiding it. I think that there was plenty of time for the Iranians to speak. And you know what, let me rephrase that. It's not the Iranians, it's the Islamic Republic's regime, which is very different from the rest of the Iranians. And I don't believe that these people who are defending the Islamic Republic should have the title pro-Iran above their heads right now. They are pro-Islamic Republic. They are pro-Iranian regime. They are pro-Ayatollah, as we've seen from many minutes of footage coming out of Tehran of people just stuck in underground tunnels. They're dancing and celebrating the Israeli response. And let's be honest, Iran has started multiple conflicts in this century, given the fact that they funded the amount of proxies that they have that have launched attacks on Israel. And that's been proven. In addition to that, they were offered a wonderful deal by the JCPOA, by the Americans, which made absolutely no sense diplomatically for either the Americans or for Israel, given that they allowed them to continue their the intercontinental ballistic missile program, which made no sense, at which we are now seeing intercontinental ballistic missiles that have landed in Tel Aviv. The main difference that you can see just by the grouping of missiles and where the Israelis are hitting versus where the Islamic regime is hitting is that there are missiles that have landed less than a kilometer from where I'm sitting right now. My friend's building was next to the direct hit in the center of Tel Aviv. If he wouldn't have been in his bomb shelter, he would be dead right now. I think it's a total misconception and a great job of trying to divert reality. But at the end of the day, we are not targeting civilian infrastructure at all whatsoever. And our war is not with the Iranian people. The entire operation is called Rising Lion, to represent the rising up and the shaking off of the Iranian regime by the Iranian people.
Are you trying to get America directly involved in the conflict? Because the embassy of the United States in Tel Aviv was closed today. Are you, Adam, are the Israelis trying to get America involved in this directly?
I don't think it's necessary for America to be involved in this directly. I think if they would have been, it would have been unprecedented, given the threat that Iran holds to the rest of the Western world and much of the Middle East. As many of us just saw, MBS was very clear about the threat.
I want to go to Dr. Omer for a minute in Ankara. Dr. Omer, now the Israelis will keep hitting. The Americans are backing them, right? At one point, the expectation is now that Iran will come in for a conversation. In fact, the story is being put out through Western media that Iran is using back channels to try and negotiate for an agreement. Not openly, but back channels are being used. Is that true? That Iran realizes this can't go on for too long, that it's trying to use back channels to contact the other side?
Yes, of course. I think that Iranians would like to have conversation as soon as possible, not because they are weak, but because they know the war is going to be extremely dangerous for both sides. Let me also say that there is no need to celebrate any kind of bombing, either on Israel or on Iran. Any kind of bombing or war, of course, should not be celebrated anywhere by anyone. At the same time, I would like to remind that after the Afghan invasion, we got Taliban. And after Iraq invasion, we got ISIS. And we should be extremely worried about if Israel is going to what they call as regime change. If they are going to target that kind of thing, we should be worried what exactly is going to come from Iran. Let me also say that whether this is Israeli behavior or is it a kind of Western behavior. In my understanding, Israel has become a proxy state of Western colonial mindset. Israelis are the biggest victims.
I'm sorry.
Israelis
even associating the idea that we're
Israeli people are the biggest victims.
Omer, you're getting a strong response from Adam. Omer, on your point, you're getting a strong response from Adam. Can you hear him? Can you hear him? And then I'll come back. If you just hear him. The moment you say,
I'm sorry,
Adam.
but to insinuate in any way that we're some form of colonial entity or representatives of any form of colonialism is absolutely ridiculous. Denying the indigenous right of the Jewish people to the land of Israel, which we have a 3,500-year connection to and maintained a connection through 2,500 years of exile and built the most complex and successful country in the Middle East. And let's be honest, there is one country that is beat, and that's Iran. Their entire military leadership has been completely destroyed almost. The infrastructure has been completely destroyed. And people, and people are fleeing the country right now, headed to Russia. So let's just be honest, just like Israel was able to completely disseminate Hezbollah in under 2 weeks, the anti-Zionist observers of the Middle East who have been wrong for the last 150 years have dealt with the result that we are not beatable vis-a-vis military action. And you've tried diplomacy and that hasn't worked. And you've tried public opinion and that hasn't worked. So let's just be honest. Our leaders aren't sitting under bunkers right now. Yours are fleeing your country. Our people are out still living their lives. Your country is completely decimated and continues to be hit. Less than 10% of your rockets have gotten through, and we were able to get over 1,000 agents of the Mossad into Iran to preemptively strike you. Let's just be honest. The Islamic Republic is going to fall within the next 30 days. And to associate us with any form of colonialism, well, let's just be honest. The farthest thing from colonialism is when a country wants to.
I wish to ask another question to Mr. Islami. Mr. Islami, war people say is diplomacy by other means. Now, what is the stated goal of Iran in this? Israel has a stated goal. And the stated goal is to strike and remove the nuclear weaponization program of Iran. What is Iran's goal? What is Iran fighting for? I think we need a clarity on that. What is your goal? What is your purpose in this?
Okay, first of all, I should say that according to lots of messages between me and your colleagues, I told them that I have only half an hour from 9 until 9:30. So this is my final comments on your debate. And because I do have another meeting, I should left the
That's
debate.
If you can answer my question, Mr. Islami.
To continue.
That's all right. You don't have to.
No
But can you answer my question? What is your stated goal? What is Iran, in your view, Iran's stated purpose in this?
Okay, I will answer. Okay, I will answer. Okay, I will tell you. This was the second. This was the first point. The second point is, I am pro-Iran. This is a thousands of year country. We do have a very, very strong culture. I am pro-Israelis want to eliminate the Islamic Republic. I don't know if they're going to win in this objective or not, but Iran will continue. And as I told you, Iranians does not war. Iranians does not start any war in more than 3. So Iranians didn't start this war. Iranians are defending their peoples.
I'm just wondering, how are you defending your people when you guys bombed the JCC in Buenos Aires? I'm really
this war
Spanish American
international law. I know that
South American Jews had to do with defending your people.
I know that.
No, Mr. Islami, my question was different. My question was different. Mr. Islami, I respect your time. But the question is...
I am an academic person.
No, you're an academic. As an academic, how do you read? As an academic, and Ariella on the... As an academic, what do you think is Iran's stated goal in this?
People are not celebrating this attack. We know that...
No. What is Iran's stated goal of this war, in your view? What is their stated goal of Iran in this war?
I think I'll tell you. This is the responsible. I'll tell you. Every land should secure all the capabilities and all need strength, not for any war like Israelis, because they love war, but like the history of Iran, which is peace, which is trade, which is negotiations, which is culture. So this government, like the previous one, and even like any other government in this land, should secure all the technologies these people need. Among them is nuclear technology. The same as President Trump, who is trying to push nuclear technology for the Americans. Every Iranian government, like Indian government, not in terms of weaponization, but in terms of peaceful usage of nuclear technology, every government should try to fulfill its promises to their people, which is peace. I think that Iran is defending its people, and the objective that Iran wants is peace for all the nations in this region. And it was great for me to be in your debate.
Yeah, but you didn't answer my question as to what is the stated purpose. You're saying stated purpose is to defend your peaceful nuclear program. Okay, now... Okay, so now I respect that you have to go. I'd like to go across to Ambassador Virendra Gupta. Ambassador Virendra Gupta, which direction is this taking? Who's got the edge now?
Well, I think Israel has scored military success. But the point is, it's a dangerous escalation, and we are all very concerned. Iran has clearly been in violation of its treaty obligations. Your previous panelist was talking about peaceful nuclear energy. But for that, you need to enrich uranium only up to 5%.
Correct.
Whereas Iran has gone about enriching up to 20%. They have found traces of even 80% enrichment. So I think there is clearly a matter of suspicion there. And Iran is a signatory of NPT. As long as it is signatory of NPT, it is bound by the treaty obligations. Iran threw away all the inspectors, removed the surveillance equipment. So I think there is clearly a cause for provocation that Iran has given. Your previous panelists also talked about Iran not having started any wars. But look at all around you. There's so many proxy wars that Iran has been waging for the last so many years. Israel, one has to sympathize with Israel. They've had very hostile neighborhood right from the beginning. In fact, in 1948, when they were set up, if you look at the map of Israel, it looks like a dagger. And that is how they were described. They were described like a dagger in the heart of Arab land. And even at that time, most of the Arab countries avowedly proclaimed that all the Jews, all the Israelis must be thrown out of that Israel. So I think they have had to endure a very hostile environment, very hostile neighborhood. Now, having said that, the point is that we must abide by a global rules-based order. And the global rules-based order does not permit any country, whatever that might be, whether it's America, and America has been guilty of that kind of action in the past, Israel. Israel took a unilateral action of bombarding Iran. So I think one can find fault with that, but one has to also look at Israel's compulsion, their existential threats.
Okay, I get that. I would like to bring in Saurabh Shukla also in, but before that, Atikur Rahman. Let's put it simple, 91% of the people watching the program tonight are backing Israel. By the way, are you surprised, Saurabh? 9%.
No, absolutely not, Arnab, because here is a country which is fighting against a regime, an Islamist regime, which has been fomenting, supporting a cocktail of deadly terror groups like Hamas, Hezbollah, you name it, across the globe. And this is a fight against terrorism. This is a fight against military installation. And I fully support Israel's fight, because imagine, Israel was one of the countries which stood with India when we fought against Pakistan-sponsored terrorism in Operation Sindoor. This is the time for us to stand up with Israel, and we should be, because I believe that this is the time because obviously Iran is in violation of its international treaty obligation. It cannot be allowed to possess a nuclear weapon. Look at what Pakistan has been doing. It has been trying to blackmail the world with the strength of a nuclear weapon. God forbid if Iran also possesses one nuclear weapon, you will have another rogue terrorist state led by Ayatollah, who will be posing grave threat to the security of the world. That's the reason the world must unite against it. And I'm glad that Israel...
If they had a weapon, if they had a nuclear weapon, one of those missiles, can you guarantee Atikur Rahman that one of those missiles they shoot at Tel Aviv would not have had a nuclear warhead on it?
So the land of the Buddha is siding with a terrorist state called Israel narcissist Netanyahu.
Come on now, please.
Why may I ask?
If
the question is of peace, Mr. Shukla, you have completed your argument.
It's not
Saurabh and Atikur.
Completed your argument, Mr.
You cannot, Atikur Rahman Sahab, you cannot say that anybody who is standing against terrorism is a terrorist state. In today's world, if you do that, you are actually supporting terrorism. Are you in support of Hamas? Are you in support of Hezbollah?
Why are you heckling me?
Please say it on national television. Let the world know that you are supporting those terrorist groups. And let the world know, because what Israel is doing today is fighting against terrorism and the Islamic regime. The fight is not against Iranian people. The fight is not against any culture or civilization. It's against terrorism, and the world will not tolerate terrorism, and especially a nuclear blackmail and nuclear terrorism, which they are trying to do.
Why are you terrorizing this panel? Why are you terrorizing this panel?
Nobody is.
You are from the land of the Buddha, India.
You don't have any facts to back yourself. That's the reason you are using the words like terrorist.
Are you over now? Arnab, may I have my arguments?
Please go ahead. Please go ahead.
You are talking of a... Thank you so much. Thank you so much.
On the left.
You are arguing on the basis of peace. Just tell me, in the past 12 months to 2 years, who have committed a genocide on the people and the children and the women? It's Israel, my friend, not Iran.
Sorry.
Iran is not terrorizing any state.
The 7th of October.
Atik, Ariella is responding to you from Israel. Yeah. Ariella.
I would like to emphasize what you said, sir. On the 7th of October, the Hamas, with a proxy of Iran, invaded Israel, killing thousands of Israelis. We have still 53 captive hostages in Gaza. So I'm asking you, they should release immediately our hostages, and we will end the war in Gaza. We are still giving them electricity, food, humanitarian aid. The people of Gaza, like the people of Iran, are hostages of the Islamic regime. The moment that they will not have such Islamistic regimes, the people will be free, and Israel will not have to look after the people of Gaza like we're doing now. I'm very sorry. You cannot say that my country is doing a genocide or killing children. Don't forget that Israel daily brings people from Gaza to the hospitals in Israel to get treatment. The same in Syria and in Lebanon. My country helps the world with medicine, with research. What have they done for the human world? What Israel is doing today in Iran is actually the job.
No, I ask a basic question here, and I want to get an Adam also on this.
Ariella,
one minute. Atik, don't freak out. One minute.
15 seconds, Arnab.
Atik, not 15 seconds. I'll take 5 seconds. If Iran has a nuclear weapon, what is the guarantee they will not give the nuclear weapon to the Hamas? They will not give the nuclear weapon to the Hezbollah or the Houthi? Because the Hezbollah fired dozens of rockets on Israeli positions in the Golan Heights. Okay? The Houthi launched multiple drone attacks on Israel. They are all part of Iran's axis of resistance. Can you absolutely be sure, you or Anas, that if Iran has a nuclear weapon, it will not use its proxies to fire nuclear weapons or nuclear-armed missiles on Israelis? Can any of you take a guarantee? Anas, you can take a guarantee? Then tell Adam, I can take a guarantee we won't do that.
So
No. If you can, you take a guarantee.
Yes or no?
So, Arnab,
it's yes or no.
So
it's very
are
easy.
comfortable,
Can you
Arnab?
guarantee
Adam.
that if you had a nuclear weapon, you would not use it against Israel? Yes or no? You don't need to scream. You don't need to yell. I understand that you're all under a lot of pressure, and if you say the wrong thing, your government is going to hang you like they do gays and women. But it's very easy. It's very easy. If you have a nuclear weapon, are you going to use it? Now, yes or no?
If you have a nuclear weapon, are you going to use it on Israel? If US and if Iran, my question is, Anas, answer that. If Iran has a nuclear weapon, will it or will it not use it on Israel?
I want to ask a simple question from my Israeli friends. Do they give a guarantee that they are not going to use their nuclear bomb against Arabs?
Yes. Yes.
Have they used it so far?
Yes.
They
we give you that guarantee. We completely give you that guarantee because we've had them since 1967 and we've never used them.
They have a nuclear weapon for over 50 years, 57 years, and they've not used it.
If a rogue nation like Israel can give the guarantee...
Hold on, I answered
That's the point. You can't give a guarantee, but they have.
Yes. Unequivocally, we will never use our nuclear weapons in that way. Yes, 100%. We will not fire a nuclear weapon on Iran. We will not fire a nuclear weapon on Iran. We will not drop a nuclear weapon in Egypt or Jordan or Saudi Arabia or Syria or Lebanon or Turkey. I guarantee that.
So, first stage is that you should announce, your prime minister should announce that Israel is a nuclear power country, so that
everybody knows that. We joked about it. It's been publicly made. So see, you're trying to get me, but you can't because you're surprised. I understand the pressure that you guys are under. You're gonna get killed if you say the wrong thing. I get it. You don't know what to say. It's very hard. I understand. I've lived in China. I understand what it is to be under an authoritarian dictatorial regime.
And then only the international institutions will decide whether you will violate or not.
Want the world to be. But come on. If you have a nuclear weapon, are you going to use it against us? Yes or no? Now, you can't answer that. So let's just go down the line. You guys are irrational actors, which means that the only thing that we can expect from irrational actors is irrational behavior, which is why this strike has happened. And it's why the entire Islamic Republic will crumble in the next month. I'm sorry,
for negotiations.
I know you're scared.
Before the start of the negotiations, why did you create a war? Iran was ready for negotiations with the US.
Okay.
Why did you start a war?
No. I did not create a war. We did not create a war. You sent your proxy into us to kill 1,200 people and take 250 people hostage. Okay, and then you didn't like the fact that we didn't like that so much, and we leveled them. Okay, if we were going to drop a nuclear
Iran
weapon,
would have said that we are not ready for negotiations, we could have understood.
Can you speak like a gentleman?
Ready for negotiations with the US.
Can you speak?
You have interfered
like
with the
a gentleman
part.
and not scream and answer the questions that you're asked. All you're doing is raising your voice, screaming and yelling. Okay, please be civil. We're on live television. These are very simple questions. Very simple.
Without any screams,
very simple.
Without any screams, you answer my simple question that
You're screaming.
Iran refuse for negotiations, sir? Did Iran refuse for negotiations? Did Iran refuse negotiations?
Well, no, you accepted negotiations and then broke the agreements of those negotiations, and there's been proof of that. So you don't actually negotiate in good faith. So
you don't have an answer.
If I negotiate to not build a nuclear
bomb, the Pakistanis are now saying, Iranian officials have been quoted as saying, 1 minute, Iranian officials have been quoted as saying that if Iran were to use its nuclear weapon, Israel were to use its nuclear weapons against Iran, then Pakistan will nuke Israel on Iran's behalf. I mean, what is going on here? Which side are you on? Are you on Pakistan's side, Atik? Are you supporting Pakistan? Where does Pakistan come into this? Pakistan.
So you are comfortable with...
I am not comfortable with the Hamas. I am not comfortable with the Hamas as an Iranian proxy killing thousands of Israelis, period. Neither should you be.
You are comfortable with...
Iran started this. You know that Iran started this. Iran started this. What was Iran's position on the October 7th attacks?
And Iran does not have one. Pakistan have one.
What do you mean Iran doesn't have one?
Given Pakistan nukes, US.
The Hamas is an Iranian proxy. The whole world knows that.
Wait, hold on. Can we just bring somebody on that knows what they're speaking about? Would that be possible? Because
Anas on the right.
Expert. I'm just wondering. I'm more than happy to give my time, but I would like to use it wisely and not waste it arguing with this.
No, the point
this is ridiculous.
Anas, the point is Anas out here. See, Anas, you yourself began by saying that Iran wants a deal. You're being very brave about it, but you know that Iran is being pounded, right? And Iran wants a deal right now. And I can inform you here that Trump is very smart, because at the G7, what Trump has done is he said that I want China in the G7. Russia should never have been put out of the G8. He's got closer to China. China gives Iran money, so the Americans and Chinese will do a back deal, and Iran will be left in the cold. This is a pressure tactic. Eventually, may I ask you, Anas, who's going to be on Iran's side?
Look, as I said, that Iranian regime, both Iranian government and the supreme leader both are on same card, and they want a peace deal.
Sort of.
Any kind of deal, especially
so the moderate
government. They would like to have any kind of deal. And Iran is at the weakest point as of now from every point of view. So they would like to have any kind of deal. And I think that they trusted Trump administration and Trump negotiators. And in return, Netanyahu simply disrupted and destroyed the entire negotiation process. And the Israeli guest was saying that they had enriched the uranium. I think that the main reason is that Iranians have been threatened by Israelis again and again, and they just tried to eliminate Iranian
But you are
nation.
a signatory to NPT, sir. Iran is a signatory to NPT. It's violating its international norms that it signed on. That's one. Secondly, would you say, you spoke about your supreme leader, would you today condemn on national television that and say it out loud that Iran will stop supporting any terror group like Hamas, Hezbollah, Houthis? You should say it out. You should have the courage today to say...
Look, why are you so happy about nuclear bomb? What makes you so assured that Israeli nuclear bomb is good and Iranian nuclear bomb is bad?
I'm not saying Israeli nuclear bomb is good. I'm talking about the fact that the Israelis have never used it or used it as a threat, have they? Adam, please.
Iran has never used.
But then you've never made an admission that what you are pushing for is a nuclear bomb. You might as well.
You say, Adam, that Israel has threatened Iran, for years, right? I'm just wondering, should we just go through the Ayatollah's X account and list the amount of threats that have been made to Jews around the world and to Israel? Never once have you ever heard Benjamin Netanyahu or even the most far-right leaning person in the Israeli political spectrum ever make an outright threat to Iran unless it is in defensive posturing. We have said since the beginning of this century, let's say 5 years into the century, so the last 20 years, we have said, if you get to a certain point where there is an existential threat and you are developing a nuclear bomb and we have proof of a certain breakout time, we will attack you preemptively, just like Syria, just like Iraq. We're not doing anything that we have not said that we would do. So let's be honest. if we're going to use nuclear weapons, we'll say we're going to use nuclear weapons. I'm not finished. So there's no point of us yelling over each other. I'm not finished. So there's no point of yelling over each other. Number two, okay, you held Holocaust denial conferences. You've had the Ayatollah constantly talk about wiping the Zionist entity off the face of the earth, okay, and the destruction of Zionism and the colonial experiment that has failed, even though it is the most successful country in the Middle East. And on top of that, you have targeted Jews in Cyprus that are not Israelis, and you have targeted and killed Jews in Buenos Aires that are not Israelis. So stop trying to Jew wash away, okay, the anti-Semitic rhetoric that has nothing to do with just Israel. It has to do with the apocalyptic eschatology of a regime that is a Shiite empowerment movement that has done nothing but threaten the stability of the entire region around us and has kept Iran from becoming the
now
wonderful...
I am out of time, viewers. I'm out of time. I want to end once again. Now, people are saying it's not a good thing. I also think attacking broadcasters is not a good thing, even if it's a state broadcaster. But that's the visual of the day. Full frame, please. We'll end with that visual. And we have a statement before that the Iranian embassy in India has put out today. And they are saying that everyone should condemn this attack on the media. I leave it to you to judge which side you want to be on this. But the Iranian embassy says this attack on the media is terrible and everyone should condemn it. Here is a visual of, and we'll play it with the audio, of the Iranian state broadcaster in the middle of a live telecast bombed by the Israelis. Good night and goodbye.
ملاحظه کردید قرار دادن وسیله نقلیه همچنین موضوعات مختلف. خیلی متشکر از اینکه با ما همراه هستید. آنچه که ملاحظه می‌کنید تجاوز رژیم صهیونیستی به خاک جمهوری اسلامی ایران و منطقه صدا و سیماست. آنچه که ملاحظه کردید تجاوز آشکار رژیم صهیونیستی به صدا و سیمای جمهوری اسلامی ایران است. معاونت سیاسی صدا و سیمای جمهوری اسلامی ایران هدف حمله متجاوز قرار گرفت. الله اکبر، الله اکبر، الله اکبر. مردم شریف ایران آگاه باشید. آنچه که دیدید، صدایی که شنیدید، صدای متجاوز به خاک وطن، صدای متجاوز به صدای حق و حقیقت است. آنچه که ملاحظه کردید، صدایی که شنیدید، فضای غبارآلود استودیو
Time for a quick breather. Arnab will be right back with the debate.
ये है सीक्रेट रेसिपी MDH का जीरा सिर्फ जलजीरा मसाला। सिप सिप जीरा